Mark Watts here. Took a little survey on Facebook, and a lot of people are interested in what my settings are on my camera and what settings I use to shoot these pictures with. And I like to use what's called the KISS factor, which is keep it simple, stupid. The less choices you have, the less you have to think about. So that's my philosophy on this, is to keep it simple. I don't use the back focus button. A lot of people, professionals, use the back focus button. And once you hit the back focus button, it will set on the subject, lock onto it, and take your finger off, and it'll still be, the focus distance still the same. I use my shutter button. Push it down halfway, pick out what I want to shoot, and then I can push the shutter button down all the way and it takes the picture. So that's pretty easy. I shoot in manual mode, but I shoot with what's called auto ISO. I don't have to select my ISO. If I'm following a bird and it goes from a light area to a dark area, I don't have to worry about changing my ISO. It'll automatically do it for me. I try and keep my shutter speed up about 0.02 of a second. That way it freezes the action. I get just a little bit of smear in the wings or something. I can run it up to 3,000 for really fast stuff, or 4,000, and it actually gives like a 3D effect to the picture, which I'm not a big fan of. It looks good, but I like to have it more natural looking as our eyes see things. These cameras pick up more detail than our eyes ever do. Our eyes fill in for stuff that's not there in the detail. So the only thing I have to worry about is my shutter speed. And my shutter speed, as it goes up, my ISO goes up. So I have to watch my ISO. I can't handle more than about 5 or 6 thousandths ISO. I like to see about 2,000 ISO or lower, even still is better. The less, or the lower the ISO number, the less dirt you'll have in your picture, the less grain. Now some of these new programs out there in the software will take out a lot of this dirt, like Topaz Denoise. Great program. I use it as the first step. On every picture I process, I run it through Denoise. So I watch my ISO. If my ISO gets too high, like 5 thousandths or so, I'll roll back my shutter speed, and I use this front button, this little wheel, and I can just move it with one hand or one finger. I don't have to take my eye off. I don't have to find it. It's right there. So I can just go back and forth between the two. So I watch my ISO. If it gets too high, I have to slow my shutter speed down because it means there's not enough light. And sometimes you can't take the picture you want because there is just not enough light. So the f-stop is always going to be at f9, auto ISO, and I control my shutter speed. That's the only thing I have to worry about. Now sometimes when you're shooting, you get in these situations where you're shooting a white bird, let's say, and you have to underexpose the picture, otherwise you blow out the whites in the bird and you don't see the details in the feathers. Or the other side of the story is if you're shooting into the sun a little bit, a tree or something, and the light's coming through it, it actually wants to play with the exposure. So I have the button on the back is my control wheel, and if I mash the bottom button, I can then scroll my wheel back and forth, and the exposure compensation will go up or it'll go down. It shows it in the display and it goes right across. And usually for white subjects I'll underexpose about 1 stop, and that seems to be a good all-around number. And what tells me this is I have what's turned on is the zebra display, and it's this pixelating thing that dances and shows me where these highlights are and where they're going to be blown out. So I can just, without taking my eye off the viewfinder, mash the bottom button, roll it, snap the picture, and I've got it. So it's very easy. The other thing I have to do is I have to worry about the subject. Is it in a tree? Is it behind leaves? Is it hard to see? Or is it moving? So I have 2 areas that changes the exposure, the focus points, and I have a button up here on the top, the C2 button I can mash, and it'll switch between wide open, seeing everything, and picking out what's moving and dancing, and that's where it's going to focus on. The other one is a very small center point where I can pick out a bird in a tree, and it will lock onto that bird, and it ignores the leaves blowing. It doesn't want to expose for them or focus on them. So that's very easy too. I just have that one button I mash, and it'll switch between the two. If I'm walking in the woods and I see a bird, I'll just make sure I got my center point on. If I go into open field and I think there's going to be a bird flying over, or ducks at a pond, I'll go to the wide open, all the choices I can have. A lot of these cameras have 8 or 9 different focus areas. You can have thirds, up, down. I don't need all that. I just need the 2. It's very simple. The button placement is very important too. You have to have the buttons where you can get to them without taking your eye off the camera. You have to, it takes a little practice, and it's not something you can practice in the room and have it in 5 minutes. It takes weeks of practice to be able to switch between where your fingers and knowing what buttons are going to do what. So I have my shutter speed. I can switch in between my focus areas, my exposure compensation. That's very basic. I also shoot in burst mode. Now this camera here takes 30 frames a second, which is 50 megapixels. It takes up a lot of memory storage, both in the camera and on the computer. But it's well worth it to me, because you get these little subtleties in between all the various wing positions when they're going up and down. You may come up with one in his eyes in between the feathers of his wings. It's very cool. So I can turn it down, but I don't, because I've missed too many opportunities by turning it down to shooting 5 frames a second or 10 frames a second. 30 is over the top, and I can handle it because storage is getting cheaper and cheaper. So I hope this answers your questions. I thank you for your time. If you like these videos, please subscribe and hit the like button. We'll catch you next time. Thanks, bye.